nationale idee des pazifischen Sozialismus ein. Diese wieder mündet im anarchischen Chaos.
The Voice on the Radio. Written by H.K. Reyes. Narrated here by Jason Hill.
While the campaign is over, our work on this movement is now really just begun.
Happy birthday, kiddo. I looked at the huge, ugly, electronic monstrosity sitting in front of me, and I knew that the old man had finally gone senile. Wow, Grandpa, I said. I don't know what to say. Thanks so much for this great thing. You know, The old man stamped his foot on the floor, almost kicking loose his fuzzy slipper. God damn it, don't they teach you little bastards anything these days? It's a ham radio, kiddo. Just look at her. Ain't she beautiful? I picked up the big, bulky piece of equipment. It looked like a VCR had fucked a car stereo, and then given birth in a dumpster full of calculators. Oh, she's something all right, I said. Oh, I used to have one of these when I was your age. Oh, wow. Radios are really that old, huh? Shut up, wise ass. He rubbed his bony hands together with childlike glee. I tell you, kiddo, I used to have all kinds of fun with machines like these. Come home from school, hop on, get the frequency tuned to the sweet spot, and all of a sudden your voice is online with folks from across the state. Hell, across the country even. And they're real conversations. None of this emoji-in or a Facebook liking or snap shooting. Or whatever the hell it is you kids are up to. Well, I happen to like snap shooting. Unfortunately, these days you're not allowed to get on the air without a license because of the goddamn government. But I'll let you use my old license and call sign. So long as you promise never to say anything embarrassing on there. Whiskey Delta 79 Echo's got a reputation to uphold. Oh, I know, I said. Everyone's always amazed when I tell them I'm Whiskey Delta Tangeray's whatever's grandson. They're starstruck even. Smartass, he grumbled. Your mother should have put you in military school when she had the chance. Here, help me set it up. He plugged a thing into a thing, and pressed some other thing, and adjusted a thing on the front panel. The radio had more buttons than an old-timey switchboard, and he lost me after, now this is how you turn it on. But pretty soon he was on the air, scanning the frequencies for other ham broadcasters. This is Whiskey Delta 79 Echo, he said into the microphone, throwing giddy sideways glances in my direction. Here in Chester, calling CQ. Is anyone out there? A raspy, gruff voice came in the line.
This is X-Ray Alpha 77 Zulu here in Fairview. I hear you loud and clear, buddy.
The old man beamed. He grabbed my wrist to pull me close to the microphone. Copy that? I'm here with my grandson, giving him his first ham lesson. Say hello, kiddo. Hello, kiddo, I said into the mic. Grandpa huffed. He's a goddamn wise ass, but he's a good kid.
Huh, you're popping his ham cherry, eh? Ha, 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 ha.
The voice said, which made me feel a little sick.
That's great. Kids today spend too much time on the goddamn internet. Not enough time learning how to master real communication. Let me tell you, when the big one comes and the electricity goes down, they'll all wish they had a reliable ham with them.
That's right, Grandpa nodded. That's goddamn right. The gruff voice got a little louder.
And the big one is coming. I can promise you that. With the way things are going, with all these goddamn foreigners coming into this country, it's only a matter of time before one of them ends up being a terrorist and kicks it all off.
Grandpa slapped his hand at his knee. Doggone it, finally someone with a little bit of sense. I felt a sick, sinking feeling in my gut. Grandpa, I said. The gruff voice rose in pitch. nearly trembling with excitement.
Let me tell you, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket if we can't do something about all the goddamn Muslims flooding into this country.
I switched the radio off. Grandpa looked at me, confused and irritated. "What the hell did you do that for?" he said. "That conversation was just about to get interesting." I wanted to tell him to fuck off back to the 1950s and to take his stupid radio with him. But instead, I just took a deep breath and said, "Grandpa, thank you so much for the present. How about we get some dinner? IHOP should give me free pancakes for my birthday." The twinkle came back into his eye. "Now you're talking, kiddo." After dinner, I swung by my friend Zamir's place to play some Battlefield. Then I came home and turned in early. Happy birthday to me, I thought. Whew, what a day. I have a bad habit of drinking too much soda before bed. Even though I was tired, I really couldn't get to sleep. I fucked around on the internet for a little bit, cleared out all the happy birthday Facebook messages from relatives I never talked to. I was bored enough that I turned on the ham radio and started spinning the dial to see who was broadcasting.
This country is falling apart because the goddamn globalists want to open up our borders to filthy foreigners and dilute our great heritage. Hey, Dale, I think I finally got this thing working. Do I look like I care? You have to listen to me. Stay away from the town of Lenore. Something is... this is Charlie Bravo Echo Tango. Anyone doing anything this weekend? Trails are spewed out of the airplanes, dropping mind-controlling chemicals in the atmosphere to keep you docile and I don't care if the goddamn election is over. Benghazi, 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 Benghazi. I bring you all a message of love. Fuck you! Is, anyone out there? I'm just so lonely. Now that we got a real man in the White House, he can give those PC fucks in the liberal news media the ass-kicking they deserve.
What the fuck? I whispered. I turned the radio off. I made a mental note to box it up and shove it in the back of my closet the next day. I rolled over, closed my eyes, and finally started to doze off. I was just on the verge of sleep when I heard it. At first, I thought I was dreaming. I heard what sounded like a soft, gentle moan, droning like a cold wind, and slowly rising in pitch. The sound sharpened until it became like a faint voice calling across a great distance. A voice seeming to echo from all directions like someone calling in the middle of a dark forest. I blinked my eyes open. The room was totally silent. I listened for several seconds until I was sure I had dreamed it. I rolled back over and closed my eyes. The sound erupted and I shot up in bed. It was everywhere, a deafening hiss ringing out the darkness, like a hungry crocodile breathing into my ear. I kicked myself back against the wall, my heart pounded, my eyes struggled to see in the dark. "Who's there?" I called out. I realized the sound was coming from the radio. I flipped on the light. The radio was still off and the display was totally dark. But the horrible static hiss was coming from the speakers, an ugly sound crashing in waves. Beneath it all, I could hear a man's voice, faintly audible beneath the hiss, a distant voice shouting with urgency. I flicked the radio's power switch on and off, but the sound didn't change. I grabbed the microphone. "Who is this?" I said. "Stop it!" The man's voice stopped. There was a pause, a fluctuation in the hiss. He called back more clearly.
Hello?
"What the hell are you doing?" I shouted into the microphone. "I'm trying to sleep. Cut it out."
Hello? Hello? Hello?
The hiss quieted a little and the voice came in clearer. The man sounded older, hoarse, almost out of breath. There was a tightness in his voice that made him sound fearful, even desperate. It sent a chill down my back to hear it. He said something in what sounded like German. What? I said. I can't understand you. I only speak English. He spoke again. His accent was thick, and his speech was stuttery and halting.
Please, I must ask you, when are you?
Where am I? I'm in Chester, about 40 miles outside Fairview.
9. No.
The hiss was rising again, overtaking the voice.
When are you?
What?
What time? What year?
I blinked at the radio. Is this guy crazy? I wondered. Or is it just fucking with me? What do you mean, what year? I said. It's 2016, dude. There was an excited flood of German that turned desperate when the hiss started drowning him out again.
Please, I must ask you. Please, wait.
The hiss grew louder and louder. It drowned out the voice, filled the room. I had to cover my ears as it rose to a deafening crescendo. And then, suddenly, it cut out. Silence. I stared at the radio. My heart pounded, and my skin prickled. A cold sweat broke out in the small of my back. I set the microphone down. I got out of bed and yanked the radio's plug from the wall. Fuck this shit. The world doesn't need another outlet for creepers to do creepy shit. There's plenty of those already. I flicked off the light and, finally, went to sleep. What the fuck is this shit? Samir said. I rolled my eyes and plopped down on my bed. Ham radio, I said. Basically, shitty old-school Skype for nutjobs and survivalists. Samir chuckled. He stuck his chubby face close to the radio and studied the front panel. Look at this thing! It's like a prop from a 1950s UFO movie. Commies from Planet X, or something. He twisted the dial and pressed buttons at random. Does it work? He said. I shrugged. I guess so, but it's full of weirdos and conspiracy creeps. Everyone's all like the globalists this and the leftist media that and our glorious race and whatever. It's like a Breitbart comment section come to life. It kind of sucks. That's hilarious. Samir grinned. Oh, I should fuck with them. Pretend I'm part of an evil immigrant sleeper cell here to steal their jobs and impregnate their daughters. Maybe I can get them to permanently move into their bomb shelters. He flicked the power switch on. When nothing happened, he looked behind the radio and found the plug and plugged it into the wall. I don't know, man. Some of these people, they're seriously off their rockers. Samir powered on the radio, and immediately a nasally sounding old man came through in the air, his high-pitched voice tremoring with outrage.
When God made America, he made it for the Americans, goddammit. And if the goddamn illegals think they can take it from us, then they've got another thing coming.
I cringed, but Samir only laughed. Idiots like this have been crawling out of the sewers ever since the election, he said. The other day I had this dude pull up to me in this big red truck, and he tells me, "We're gonna send you back to where you came from, terrorist." And I was like, "Bitch, I come from Milwaukee." Yeah, people suck, I said. Samir shook his head. Nah, not really. Most people are good people. No matter which way they voted, anyways. Only a few are total scumbags like this one. But I guess it only does take a few to do some real damage. He picked up the microphone, held it to his lips. He spoke in a thick, cartoonish Pakistani accent. "Yes, I hear you, brother. Very good, very good, very good. We keep America great. Yes." The nasally old man fell silent for a long moment.
Who the hell is this?
"I support what you are saying, brother," Samir said, deepening the fake accent. "We must keep out the foreigners, protect our purity, yes?" There was silence on the other end, and then the old man shouted,
Get the hell off this channel, you foreign son of a bitch. When I find out who this is, I'm gonna track you down and kick your goddamn ass.
Yes, brother. Very good, very good. Keep fighting the good fight. He turned the tuner to another channel, and we both doubled over laughing. Oh, dude, I could have hours of fun with this thing, he said. Who else is on here? Well, the other night I was trying to sleep, and this one guy, Samir, tuned to a new channel, and a strange hiss came from the speakers. A knot twisted in my stomach. I heard a frantic voice calling out.
Hello? Hello?
This guy, I said. This guy is a total psycho. Well, that's perfect. I love talking to psychos. Samir picked up the microphone.
Hello? Hello?
The man was almost breathless with excitement.
Please, do not go. I performed many fixes to the machine. Transmission very much better, yeah?
Samir giggled. Oh, we've got a jolly old German on here. Oh, I have to get me one of these stupid radios. He spoke into the microphone. Ja, sehr gut, mein Herr. Excellent sound. Bravo.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ja, ein bisschen, Samir said. I gave him a look, and he said, What, I've had a few semesters, I get the gist of it. They spoke a few sentences back and forth in German. What are you saying? I asked. Samir sat back and shook his head. This guy is a piece of work. I asked him where he's located, and he said, Long ago, many years in your past. Well, when I talked to him, he wanted to know what year it was. Oh, it's brilliant. He gets on here, pretends to be a time traveler to troll the survivalists. Probably puts the recordings up on YouTube to make fun of them. Well, okay, well, ask him how he's communicating from the past. Samir spoke into the microphone. There was an excited flood of German from the other end. Well, what's he saying? I asked. I have no fucking idea. I thought you spoke German. No, I said I got the gist of it. If he was describing the animals he was seeing on a safari, I could maybe follow him. But he's talking about, like, particle tunnels and chaotic duality waves or some shit. Well, I couldn't understand him even if I was fluent. The voice on the radio sighed slowly. He dropped into a low, tired whisper and said,
Please, will you tell me about your world?
Something in his tone sent a chill of unease into my gut. We should switch it off, I said. Samir's eyes widened. Why? He's fucking with us. So? He's doing a great job of it. Samir smiled at me. I tried to smile back, but the anxiety in my stomach wouldn't go away. I don't know, man. Something about this one, it feels weird. Samir scoffed. Come on, dude. I've never known you to walk away from a good joke. This is easily the most interesting conversation I've had in a while, even if he's trolling. I say fuck it, let's play Time Travelers. We told him about our future world. We described jet planes and self-driving cars, space stations, microchips. We tried to describe a smartphone, which was way too difficult to do in the voice of shitty English and Samir's shitty German. The man was fascinated by the internet, awestruck by the moon landing, greatly amused when I played some Deadmau5 as an example of futuristic culture. Samir did his best to describe VR headsets, settling on something like goggles of electricity and illusion. Through it all, the voice kept repeating,
It's beautiful. So beautiful.
Okay, enough about us, mein Freund, Samir said. Your turn. You tell us about your world. There was a long silence.
My world? My world. It's very dark. bad things happening. I do not know how we will escape as a shadow.
This guy's a brilliant improviser, Samir said.
Please, my friends, I have one question. It is very important. I must ask you.
Well, sure, man. Go ahead. The voice asked something in German. Samir frowned. Suddenly, there was a sharp sound of breaking glass. The voice cried out in terror, gasped.
Nein! Nein!
Other voices sounded out, angry men clamoring and shouting, a riotous crowd storming the room. There was a chaotic cacophony, glass shattering, wood splintering, footsteps running and stomping. Crazed voices shouted with rage, and there were loud wooden bangs like furniture getting turned over. There were metallic shrieks and dull thuds, papers scattering and tearing. The hateful voices grew louder and louder. There was a tremendous crash and a woman's scream. And then silence. I turned to Samir. What the hell happened? He blinked at the radio and shook his head. I don't know. Other people were in there, a lot of them. They were saying, dog, worthless dog, I think, over and over again. I flicked the radio on and off. I twisted the dial. Static came through, and nothing more. There was no sign of the voice, no sign of the chaos that had just happened. Samir and I sat in silence. His question, I said. What did he ask you? Samir stared at the radio. He said, can they be stopped? Too much soda again. Another insomniac night. I blinked up at the ceiling, counting the cracks in the plaster, over and over. Over and over. Hours passed until my eyes began to feel heavy at last. Then, the deafening hiss from the radio erupted in the night. I shot upright in bed and looked at it. I flicked the power switch on and off, but the hiss didn't change. I got out of bed and yanked the plug from the wall. The hiss only grew louder. You have got to be fucking kidding me, I said. Gradually, the hiss resolved, and I could hear the sound of slow, labored breathing on the other end. I grabbed the microphone and spoke into it. Look, I don't know who you are or how the fuck you're doing this, but I need you to stop. Haha, you got me. Sure, but if you don't stop bothering me, I'm gonna call the fucking police. The sound of breathing continued. Do you understand me? I shouted. I am telling you to leave me alone, for Christ's sake. I don't care about your stupid fucking time travel act or whatever shitty YouTube channel you're doing this for. Leave me alone. The breath shuddered. He sniffled and gasped quietly. The sound of quiet sobs. After a moment, he started speaking, softly in German. I told you, I can't understand you, I said. But he just spoke over me. I don't think he could hear me at all. His speech was slow, soft, halting. He could only choke out a few words at a time before stopping to compose himself. I listened for a moment, and then I grabbed my phone and opened the voice recorder. I recorded until he was finished speaking. I kept recording as his labored breathing continued to come through, and for a while afterward. At last there was a gentle click, and the radio cut to silence. I sat for a long while to make sure nothing else was coming through, and then I climbed back into bed. I sent the audio file to Samir and texted him the story. I asked him to translate. The next day at school, he handed me a sheet of paper at lunch. He didn't say anything, he just handed it to me and walked away. On it, I read these words.
My friends, I do not know if you can hear me. I do not know if you could ever hear me, or if I was just imagining our encounter. But I do hope that you are out there. The machine is critically damaged. Perhaps with a great deal of work it could be repaired, but I doubt that I will have either the resources or the time necessary for such a task. There are so many questions I want to ask. So much more that I want to learn about your world. But please know that in the brief time that we were able to speak, you gave a very tired man a reason to continue living. I know now that the madness that has gripped my country cannot be stopped. I tell my son to be strong. I tell him that if our people were strong enough to survive the flight from Egypt, that we are strong enough to withstand a few grunting apes in jackboots. But he knows that I am afraid too. We are marching forward into a terrible nightmare. And I do not know when it will end. The only thing that I cling to is the fact that somehow our world will lead to yours. For in such a world of such wondrous invention and progress, what use could there be for war? What reason for oppression? What tolerance for injustice? I do not know how such a world could arise from the darkness that is enveloping my time. But I can only hope that the future is really as beautiful as you have described it. I hope that you have succeeded where we have failed. I hope that you have forgotten the word for hate. I hope. Goodbye, my friends. Goodbye from the shadows.
Werner Bockmann, Frankfurt, Germany, November 11th, 1938.
A prank. That's all it was, of course, just someone with too much time on his hands, playing a big stupid joke. He's probably listening to the recordings and laughing at us right now. Just a prank. But I still keep the radio on at night. I'll switch it on as I'm laying in bed. Sometimes when I'm drifting off, I think I can hear a distant voice calling out in the dark. A voice from the shadows. Tiny and frail, and yet full of hope. And I'll sit up in bed and listen. I'll listen for a sound, a word, anything. But I never hear more. Just my mind playing tricks on me. I don't sleep much anymore. Probably because I drink too much soda. Right? Right.
In a 1000-year Glücksgemeinschaft, in der Time of the Crown gibt's, wollen die Ordnung ihres Grundsätzlichen getan.
United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
Applied to modern communities has united us all, and it has proved to the world the quality of our island life.
General Eisenhower informs me that the forces of Germany have surrendered to the United Nations. The flags of freedom fly all over Europe.
Each time a man stands up for an ideal, or acts to improve the lot of others, or strikes out against injustice, he sends forth a tiny ripple of hope, and crossing each other from a million different centers of energy and daring, those ripples build a current that can sweep down the mightiest walls of oppression and resistance. Robert Kennedy. Thank you for listening to The Voice on the Radio by H.K. Reyes. H.K. Reyes is a horror and science fiction writer whose work has been featured on the wildly popular Reddit No Sleep forum, the acclaimed Chilling Tales for Dark Nights YouTube channel, and the award-winning No Sleep podcast. His story, Operation Stingray, was voted the best multi-part story of 2013 by the No Sleep community. Reyes is a graduate of New York University's Tisch School of the Arts, and he lives in Southeast Michigan. He is currently hard at work on his first novel, a sci-fi adventure story about space outlaws. You can find out more about Reyes' work on his website, hkreyes.com. Thanks for joining me this week. See you next time. And remember, when you lie alone in the dark, unable to close your eyes, just keep telling yourself, it's only a story. It's only a story.